Hello, welcome to another video. In this video, we are going to be taking a look at the Cambridge English Language Paper 2, Writing Variant 2-1. And if you're familiar with these kind of paper 2s for A-level, then they're always structured the same way. So you have a section A and a section B, and each section has about 3 questions, and you must choose two questions to answer, and 1 question has to be from each section. So you can't choose 2 questions from section A and not do section B at all. You must specifically choose 1 question in section A and 1 question in section B. Let's begin with the tips and tricks regarding section A and how you can format your answers and come up with ideas for your answers for each question of this section, no matter what you choose. Okay, so let's take a look at question 1 first. It is telling us to write a story which begins with the following sentence. Just before reaching the corner, they turned away and waved goodbye. In your writing, create a sense of adventure and anticipation. The first thing that I would do personally is I like to highlight just so that I don't have to waste my time reading the question over and over. I like to highlight just so that my eyes know exactly where to look. And I color code things, which means that here I'm being asked for a story. So I'll put that in blue. So the main task is a story, and then I'll put in black details. So anything that's extra that I have to make sure to do. So an extra thing here is I have to create a sense of adventure, as well as anticipation. And you also have to use this sentence, right? Turn away. There. So this is what I would highlight. I'm explicitly being asked for a story, and then I need these to meet these 3 requirements here. Okay. So now let's look at the notes that I've made. So here we have our question 1, adventure plus anticipation. Let's take a look at those closely. And I think I made a mistake. Yeah, this is a horrible mistake. I spelled adventure wrong. And it should be an E. Oops. Don't be like me. Make sure that you spell, you have very good grammar during your exam. So this is my mistake, sorry. Adventure is spelled with an E. So let's take a look at adventure. When I think of adventure, you think of an unusual series of events. So it's not your typical day. It's something dramatic, or adventure is nothing like think about anything that you do on a regular day in your life, and that's not adventurous. That's just routine, right? Unless you have a really crazy life and you're like some sort of secret spy or something, then yes, you're on an adventure every day. But if not, you are trying to write a story that looks nothing like what you do every day. Okay? Second thing I think that comes to my mind actually when I think of adventure are obstacles and also a lot of action. So there's a lot of, I had to run 5 miles and swim and then fight a dragon or something, I don't know. But a lot of action and obstacles. Okay, and adventures are usually exciting and interesting. So excitement comes as well with action. It's very upbeat. There's a lot going on. And interesting is I'm wondering what's next. Okay, which leads us to anticipation. For anticipation, we have building up expectations. So make sure that your story, when the reader is reading, the reader is like, oh my goodness, what's coming next? What's coming next? What's coming next? And you also might want to do something so that not do something, but write in a way that your reader might expect something to happen, and then you're like, oh, nope, I lied to you, plot twist, this is not going to happen in the end. Okay, so you're building up expectations, and then you can either meet those expectations or you completely go the other way and it's a plot twist. Suspense. So suspense is also related to anticipation, because the reader must always ask themselves, what is next? What's next? What's next? Right? And last thing that comes to my mind when I think of anticipation is you have to make the reader very curious. So making them curious comes with using a lot of details. And you can also throw in questions or have a bit of confusion there. So the way that you'll write is you make them ask themselves questions, but then those questions are not answered until somewhere down the line. Okay? So now let's take a look at 3 examples for this story. So just before reaching the corner, they turned away and waved goodbye. Okay, so we have 2 people. We don't know if it's 2 guys, 2 girls, or 1 guy, 1 girl. We don't know. It's just 2 people turned and they waved goodbye. And actually, this is pretty, if you're very, very original, it says reaching the corner, they turned and waved goodbye. This might not even, your story doesn't have to be about people, because certain animals can wave. So if you really want to shock the markers, you might actually think about how you want to write the story about some sort of creature other than humans. We never know, because this sentence doesn't include people, specifically humans. It's up to you. Okay, so the first example that I thought about is 2 people turn the corner and they're running away from danger, maybe. Are they? Up to you. Okay, and is someone or something chasing those 2 people as they turn the corner? And do they have a plan? Are they planning on meeting again, meeting somewhere? Who knows? So 2 people turn the corner, they say bye to each other, and it would make sense if they're running away from danger. You know, you're running and you're like, okay, you go that way, I go this way. You turn the corner, you're like, okay, bye, stay safe. I'll meet you over there. Remember our plan. So something along those lines. Okay, and it also incorporates adventure because they're running from danger. So maybe they're gonna have to go through a few obstacles before they get to that safe place, right? Example 2 of how you can write the story and meet all the requirements is 2 people turn the corner, wave to each other, and they're trying to find survival supplies on a deserted island. So imagine you're stuck with your best friend on an island and you don't know anything about that island, and you guys you're stuck there, so you have to build a shelter, a little house, or you have to get food. So the island is quite big and you don't know it. So you tell your friend, okay, you go that way, I go this way, you search this section, I search this part of the island, and we'll meet back later on. Okay? And some questions that derive from this idea is, will they make it back to shelter safe? So maybe when they go and they try to find the survival supplies, I don't know, maybe they run into a lion or a leopard or something, you know, include the adventure side. Another point is, will they cross paths while looking? Because if I go this way and you go this way and we're searching and then, oh, oops, we meet again, okay? So will they cross path and then end up looking together in the end? That's for you to decide. last point for this idea is, are they racing against clock, sunset? Because you're stuck somewhere, right? You don't know what it is. You don't know what is there. So if that was me and I'm stuck somewhere, I would want to make it back to the starting point before it gets dark, because when you're somewhere that's scary, things are a lot scarier at night than they are in the morning. So that's the last point that I came up with for this idea. The third idea is, two friends from an orphanage are being adopted by two different families. So this one I find pretty original and pretty cool, because imagine you, so I'm taking you as just an example, right? Who knows? So imagine you and a friend grew up in an orphanage together, and you guys are maybe 14 years old, or I don't know, you can pick the age. So you guys are 14 and you finally get adopted, but you get adopted by two different families. So we turn the corner, we wave bye to each other, and we each get in the respective cars of our families who adopted us, or you and your friend, right? To stick with how I started this example. So you guys each get in the cars and then you go to your new family's home. One point that can help you develop this idea is, they have to plan to run away together. Are the families bad? Do you guys plan to escape and just be together because you're upset that you guys grew up with each other until 14 and now you guys are separated, so you want to run away and be together? So that's one thing to think about to develop the story. Another thing that you can think about is, what are the new homes like? So this would be very interesting if you use this idea. Would be, what is the family like? Are the families similar to each other? Is one family good, one family bad? Are they both bad? And describing how each member of the family is. And the adventure is there, especially if they have to run away together. The adventure is there, because how are you going to go through these obstacles that you must go through to run away? Okay? So there you have it. Those are my 3 ideas for the first question, which is just writing a story that starts with, just before reaching the corner, they turned and waved goodbye, and you have to include adventure and anticipation. Now let's take a look at question number 2. Write 2 contrasting diary entries. The first by a student after being shown around a new school on the first day of the year. The second by the same student 2 years later, after showing a group of new students around the same school. In your writing, create a sense of mood and place. Okay, so now again with my highlighting and my color coding. So we're looking for 2 contrasting diary entries. Okay, and so contrasting diary entries, that's what I'll put in blue. And the additional things that the additional requirements that I must meet are, the first entry is by a student being shown around new school. And the second entry is by a student 2 years later, after showing a group of new students around the same school. Pretty long. Okay. In the writing, create a sense of mood and place. Okay, so here, 2 diary entries. So 2 diary entries. One is a new kid. You're not the new kid, but there's a new kid who is being shown around a new school. And then that same kid later on is showing other people the same school. And the diary entries, it's that student, that new kid who is writing these. So you have to pretend that you are the new kid, and you have to write in your diary, and you must create a sense of mood and place as you do so. Let's take a look at that. So here, question 2, I wrote down a little summary here of what we're being asked overall. So let's look at the components of the question. First, we have contrast. So contrasting means opposites, differences, black versus white, night versus day. Okay, so the differences. So what do they have that's similar or different? But contrast is mostly different. Okay, and then we have mood. Mood is, when I think of mood, I think of ambiance, I think of the vibe, the atmosphere. Is it happiness? Is it fear? Is it intimidation? So intimidating. So you have to make sure that the diary entries are very clear on mood, so reflecting how the student feels in both situations. And the place, when I think of, we have to create a sense of place, I think of a lot of description and a lot of adjectives, okay, because that's how you describe things, using adjectives. So those word of the days are really important, by the way, if you're watching those videos. Very important for all of these exams and essay writing or creative writing style of questions. Let's take a look at our first example on how to solve this question. First example is the first diary entry for when the student is the new kid themselves. The mood that we would want to create is scared and intimidated. And for the second one, versus comfortable and confident. Okay, this is your classic. So if I'm pretty sure, and I bet you that most students would go with this style of answer. Okay, so I'm sure that markers see this one a lot, right? At first you're scared, you're the new person, you don't know how things are. And then after that, you're comfortable and confident, and you're the cool kid, and everyone loves you, and it's great. Okay, so 2 points on how to develop this idea is, at first the school seems huge and really big, you know, versus now it's smaller. Because when you go somewhere new, the place is always big because you're not familiar with it. It's not familiar space. So your eyes are like, whoa, like this is new, it's big. But the longer you stay there, it becomes smaller. You know, you guys can probably think of when you first, unless you were born and your parents were already living somewhere and you still live there. But if you've gone through moving to a new home, when you first get there, most of the times you're like, wow, there's rooms and I've never seen these rooms before. It looks spacious. But the longer you stay there, you get very familiar with how the house is, and then it gets just smaller, right? Second point that you can use to develop the diary entries is people look intimidating versus now you know them and they're nice. So for example, a concrete way to use this point is In your diary entry, you can say, the guy took me into the cafeteria and there was a guy sitting there with purple hair and an orange shirt, and he had piercings all over his face, and he just, describes someone who looks really rough on the exterior and very intimidating. And then for the second entry, you can say, now I took the new students to the cafeteria and introduced them to a very nice guy who has piercings all over his face. So you describe the same guy, but in a nice way. So this is definitely a contrast between how you looked at him before and how he seemed to you. And then the second time your perspective changed. So he went from being this guy with the weird purple hair and the orange shirt to, I introduced the new students to, I don't know, Jim. And Jim is a really nice guy. He has piercings because he loves to be creative or something. I don't know. Okay. But I think that you get the point. Second example is excited versus unimpressed. And this, you're going to have to do this really correctly. You're going to have to play with the tone very well. So the first point is high expectations versus reality. Okay? So you're getting the tour for the first time of a new school and you're like, cool, there's a gym, there's a music room, I'm going to learn all the music there is in the world, and you sound super excited after your first day of orientation because you have high expectations. And then when you're giving the tour to the new people, you say, oh yeah, I showed them that music room with all those instruments that they'll never use. And yeah, the gym, nobody goes there. Machines are broken, So do you hear the difference in my tone? So, oh my goodness, this is great. There's a pool, love it. And then reality is only the teachers can use the pool and we never get time there. So play with the tone. Second point on how to develop our second idea is your first time driving to school versus 2 years of driving to school. And some of you may relate to this because me personally, when I first started driving, I used to be so excited. I would want to take my mom's car all the time. I'd be like, I want to drive. My mom needed to go somewhere. I say, I'll drive you. You're excited to drive. So if you're driving to school the first day, you're probably excited. And then after driving to school for 2 years, you always drive there now. So it's not that exciting anymore. So now you're like, the first day you're like, woohoo, yeah, my dad let me take his car. It was great. I had the windows down. I was playing music. And then 2 years later, I'm sitting in this car and there's plastic bags everywhere from all the fast food that I left and never cleaned up, and the traffic, and I got there late. So positive and negative, okay? And you have to make it reflect in the tone. And those are the two main ideas that I had for this question, okay? Oh, I had a third idea, but this one you might have to do a little more digging. But the third idea is to play on homeschool versus public school. So how would someone feel like going to public school for the first time after being homeschooled? Okay, this one I haven't developed much because this one is quite tricky. But if you think of any cool ideas, let me know. If you can figure out how to give examples for yourself and also for all the other people watching this video, leave a comment down below so that you can help out as well, right? Help me and help everyone. Okay, so those are the 3 points, major points for our second question, which is to write contrasting diary entries for a student going to school for the first time versus being there for 2 years and showing other students, new students, the same school. Let's take a look at question 3. Question 3 is asking to write a descriptive piece about the kitchen of a busy restaurant. In your writing, focus on sound, movement, and smell to help your reader imagine the scene. Okay, so here, color coding again. Write a descriptive piece. So this is the main thing. Descriptive piece. And any extra requirements. Kitchen of a busy restaurant. Actually, that could still be in blue. Descriptive piece about the kitchen of a restaurant. Extra requirements extra requirements are sound, movement, smell to help your reader imagine the scene. So here the reader has to imagine. I'll highlight this as well. Underline. So a descriptive piece about a kitchen of a busy restaurant, and we have to focus on sound, movement, and smell, and make our reader imagine what we're talking about. Okay, so descriptive, it means many details. This isn't written, but adjectives, right? Of course, we have to create clear images in the reader's mind. So here I can add adjectives. Okay, and let's take a look at 2 major examples that I came up with. The first is a kitchen of a busy restaurant. We have to figure out what that restaurant is, right? So first idea is to make it a family restaurant. So you were asked to help out in the kitchen on a busy night of your family's restaurant. It could be your grandma, your grandpa, your aunt, your uncle, your parents. You decide. Your cousin, you decide. Okay, let's look at 3 points that can help us develop the idea. Are people, so people meaning staff members, are they calm or are they yelling a lot on a busy night? Okay, so it's descriptive. A really interesting tip that I have for you on how to write a description is imagine that you were like invisible. Okay, so imagine you have invisible powers and just imagine yourself in that busy kitchen. And maybe think about a kitchen that you saw in a movie or even at your kitchen at home, and try to imagine what it looks and what it feels like if you were there and if you had to explain to people what you experienced. That would help you a lot. That's really good. A good way to get inspired to be very descriptive is if you have to, try to close your eyes and try to imagine yourself there and just write down what your mind is showing you. Okay, so here to develop this, I thought about you're standing at the door of the kitchen, and as you're standing at the door, what do you see? You see people working. Are they calm or are they yelling on this busy night? Okay, and if they are calm, does it mean that it's very organized and structured? If they're yelling, is there food on the floor? Are people bumping into each other because they're disorganized and there's customers that are unhappy about their food? So imagine all of that and write it down. Okay, do people work fast or slow? Is it organized? Are people really slow or are people really fast? Maybe it's really busy because people are slow as well. So things are getting done fast. So a lot of orders are coming in, but the food is not going out fast enough. Okay. Third point, what kind of food is served? Does it smell burnt or does it smell good? So what kind of food do you see? Right? So picture in your mind, are they selling, is it Italian? Is it maybe more curries and rotis? What kind of food is it? Okay, does it smell burnt? Because it's a busy night, so are they if they're making a lot of mistakes, if it's not organized, maybe some food is burning. Or maybe everything smells really great and it's super busy, so all the different dishes that are being ordered smell really nice as the odor is just mixed together and it just creates this nice smell over in the kitchen of different kind of foods. Okay, so you get creative with this one. And then second idea is you work at a restaurant and it's your first time experiencing the restaurant being busy. Okay, so you're a new hired employee and it's a busy night. Okay, and here I was thinking more of a fast food restaurant. So a fast food restaurant that has a drive-through maybe. Okay, and 3 points that will help you develop the idea is to ask yourself these questions. Are customers waiting in line? Are they complaining? Okay, so they're ordering their food. Maybe it's a takeout place actually. So it's not like up here, maybe up here it's a restaurant where you sit down. But for this idea, it's a restaurant where people come in and they take and they leave. It could even be a street stand, right? A street food stand for a restaurant, that kind of style. Are they waiting in line? Are they complaining? Second point, is there a strong oil smell? Is there too much frying? So maybe you work somewhere where you guys use a lot of oil and there's a lot of frying going on. So it's a thick smell, unlike in this example up here when the food maybe smelled nice or burnt in a different way. The last point to help you develop this idea is to think, what does the floor look like? Is there food? If there's a lot of oil, does the oil get on the floor? Is it sticky when you walk? Remember, because you're focusing on sound, movement, and smell. So sound, are people yelling? Are customers complaining? Is maybe the head chef, is he giving out a lot of orders? Okay, cut the carrots, get the juice, or I don't know, right? Movement, my feet. You can hear the noise from the stickiness on the floor when people take every step in the kitchen. It's just very sticky. So movement, is it slow? Are people's hands working fast? And then the smell, we have burnt or oil. Be very descriptive, right? Okay. And there you have it for question 3, which is asking for you to describe a kitchen of a busy restaurant, all whilst focusing on sound, movement, and smell. right? So that was section A. Moving on to section B. And section A is imaginative writing, while section B is writing for an audience. Take a look at question 4. You recently helped to organize an event at school to raise money for a local charity. Write an article about the event for your school magazine, describing what you did and how the event will help the local charity. So, first things first, in blue, what is the major task for this question? Is to write an article about an event, and the article is for our school magazine, describing, these are additional requirements, describing what you did, how the event will help. Okay? Oops. Okay. So an article about a charity event that we organized to raise money, what we did and how it will help. Question 4. Here we are. Question 4. Okay, so what we did, right, and what we did to raise money, and then how the event will help local charity. Okay, and then we have to be very descriptive. So the first thing that I thought that it would be nice to keep in mind is the structure of an article. So for an article, you have the title, you have the abstract, and the abstract is the kind of like a summary, a little summary within the article, so that for all those people who are really, really busy, if they just read the abstract, they get some sort of idea about what your article is about, And after that, you have your opening paragraph, which some people, they combine these two in one. So abstract and opening paragraph. And following the opening paragraph, you have the body of the article, and then you have the closing paragraph, so the conclusion. Okay? And I do plan on making a video eventually going deep into details on just articles in general and how to write them. And I think by saying this, it's a good time also to mention that I thank you guys, of course, for your patience. I am trying to make as many videos as I can. I know that you guys have the need for a lot of content to be put out. I'm doing my best. I have some other commitments during my week that gives me a little bit tighter time frame to get all of these videos done. But I'm working on it, and I will be putting out content as long as you guys are still watching. Okay, so now back to this question. Let's take a look at two ideas, right? Not two ideas, but two major points of the question, which is what you did to raise money and how the event will help. So what can you do? First thing is, what can you do to raise money for an event? That's the first thing you should ask yourself. What can we do? Okay. You can do a car wash. I've assisted a few car washes before trying to raise money. So you just get with people somewhere and you guys have buckets of water and soap, and you have signs, and you get close to the road and you say car wash, car wash. You know, I'm sure you guys know how a car wash works. But yeah, so car wash. Another idea is a teacher versus student sports event. I've assisted a few of these too, where you make an event where people can pay and they can come watch the teachers at your school playing against the students. So I think this could be pretty funny, because I don't know about the teachers at your school, but the teachers at my school, some of them weren't really great when it came to sports. So watching them play sports was really funny when I was in school. Another idea is bake sale. These are pretty typical. You sell food and then you collect money to give to charity. Okay. And then I think that maybe a more challenging thing to figure out is, what kind of charity are you going to be talking about? Let's take a look at the first point. So is it an animal rescue charity? And how would it help them? So you're raising money so that there can be less abandoned animals on the streets. And how would there be less abandoned animals just walking around on the streets? Is maybe you're improving or you're raising money to build, improve, or upgrade an animal shelter, or maybe have more animal shelters around, or maybe also help raise money to pay the salary of more people who are going to have the job to just go in the streets and find all of these animals that are on the loose. So excuse me. So that's one idea for here. Another kind of charity, which is very popular, homelessness. So are you helping to build new shelters, so money so that new shelters could be built? Or maybe you buy food supplies for food banks. And food banks are just essentially organizations who give out free food to those who are in need. So maybe you're raising money so that you can help purchase food supplies to give to a food bank that will give it to people who need it, like homeless people. Third idea for the type of charity is scholarships. So maybe there are children at your school that come from a low-income family, and you're helping them pay their school tuition. So it's raising money so you can help certain, anonymous, of course. I don't think the school would name those students, but help students pay for their school tuition. Or another point is help poor students have school supplies, right? So maybe every summer your school does this charity so that you can raise money. They don't do this charity, I should say. Every year your school puts on a charity event where they raise money that will go to helping pay for students' school supplies for the next year. Okay? And that's how I would brainstorm for question 4. All right. Question 4 is done. So the article for the school magazine describing what you did and how the event will help. Let's take a look at question 5. A newspaper recently published an article saying that school holidays are far too long. Readers were invited to write letters to respond to this article. Write 2 contrasting letters. One supporting the views in the article and one challenging them. Okay. So again, with the blue, two contrasting letters. So, oops, you must support the views and challenge them. And the question is, school holidays are far too long. So we're looking for two contrasting letters. One clearly argumenting for the fact that school holidays are far too long, and the other letter argumenting against the claim of school holidays being far too long. Okay, let's take a look at how you can brainstorm question 5. Okay, so for and against, school holidays are too long, two contrasting letters. So remember, contrasting is good versus bad. Differences, you think of positive versus negatives, pros versus cons. So good and bad. So these are just different pairs that negate each other. So good is different than bad. So just differences. Okay. So now let's take a look at how you can, so arguments for both sides, right? Because that's what you're supposed to do. Find arguments for both sides. So let's start with the pros, so 4. We have holidays are too long. Oops, maybe I did this wrong, guys. So school holidays are far too long. So this would be challenging them. The first, so challenging the claim. And then our second one would be, the cons would be supporting. Okay, so when I say pros, I mean the good things about holidays being long. Okay, so you're challenging this. So school holidays are too long. This means no, they're not too long. So we're giving the pros of the holidays. The first point that I thought of for holidays being a good thing if they're long is family time. Okay, so you spend more time with your family. I think that as students, you spend most of your time at school. A lot of your time at school, I would say probably more than half of your time of the week is spent at school, I think, or nearly half, a good chunk anyway. Okay, so if the holidays are long, it means that you spend time with your family. Maybe one of your parents lives far away for work. So if you have holidays, if one of your parent lives in another city because they're working there, maybe you can go visit them, right? You have more time to spend with them if they're away. And also, if your grandparents or your cousins, your uncles, your aunts, they live somewhere else, holidays give you the time to also see that side of the family. And what if a family member is sick? So a family member is at the hospital. Hospitals usually have visiting hours, and sometimes visiting hours you're at school, and when you're done school, maybe you can't visit them anymore. So having holidays means that you can maybe visit a family member that is somewhere because they're sick. Mental health is also another point. So it's important to have breaks. Okay, so I'm not sure if you've ever done it, but I have done it before as a student, where I would literally spend maybe 3 days in a row just studying. Study. And I would go crazy. You need a break. Everybody needs a break. You need to do something else than study sometimes. So it's good for your mental health, anxiety, depression. So always remember, no matter what, mental health is important. Take a break. Okay? That's another argument. Last argument that I came up with was distance also creates appreciation. And I'm sure you've heard that saying before in relation to human relationships, whether it's romantic or with your friends. If you see your friends all the time, did you notice the reason why you fight with your siblings, if you have any, is because you see them every day, all the time. So sometimes when you get away from people, you appreciate them. So it's good for relationships with friends and teachers. If you, even that teacher that you don't like, maybe if you don't see them for 2 months, you'll be like, I actually miss that teacher that I don't like. Okay? There's less irritation, there's less arguments with classmates, so it's good. You get people away from each other for long enough, they'll sometimes end up missing each other. Or even if they don't miss each other, at least when they see each other again, they'll be like, okay, I haven't seen you in a while, so whatever. Let's be cordial. Okay, and now let's look at the other side. So cons of holidays being long, so supporting the claim. Parents have less time off from kids. Okay, so our parents suffer sometimes when we're not at school because they have to make lunch, they have to also watch over us. Maybe we're bored at home, we want them to take us out. So parents suffer when the kids stay home too much. And I'm sure you've probably seen some memes or some stuff about the COVID-19 situation with students studying from home now. Some parents are just going crazy because their child is home all the time. And, kids can also be mischievous, so they get into things and cause chaos. So parents are not too happy when holidays are too long. There's also babysitter fees, so financial cost for parents is more because they're with them and not at school. Also, another major point is forgetfulness. So too much time away might make students forget the material. So if I told you to watch this video and memorize everything that I say in this video, okay, and you watch this video every day for the next week, then you'll probably end up memorizing a lot of the stuff that I say. But then if after a week I tell you, okay, now don't watch this video at all anymore, you're not allowed, and you have to come back in 1 year and tell me what the video was about. Most likely in 1 year you'll be like, I have no idea, I don't know what you said at all. So too much time away makes people forgetful. So those were my major points regarding this question 5. That is asking to write 2 contrasting letters regarding the subject, the topic, school holidays are far too long. All right, now we take a look at question 6. Your head teacher has asked you to give a speech to your school about the benefits of sport. Write the text for the speech. In your writing, create a sense of enthusiasm for sport and a desire to encourage students to be more active. What are we looking at? In blue, always start with blue. For me, you can start with any color you want. Your head teacher asks you to give a speech So speech. Okay, so you notice if you actually look at the way I highlighted the questions, if you look at anything that's in blue, it tells you exactly what kind of text you're writing. So here I have a speech. Here, directly, I don't have to search. I know here, it tells me letter. Okay, and then from here, I look for blue. Oh, blue, article. Okay, blue, descriptive piece. Blue, diary entries. And then blue, story. So while you're deciding what you want to answer, you just look at the blue stuff and it'll tell you the main idea of the question, and based on what you're more comfortable with, are you comfortable with writing stories or diary entries or descriptive pieces or a letter or an article? So it makes it faster for you to make your decisions because your eyes know where to go. So back to 6. Head teacher asks you to give a speech about the benefits of sport. Okay. Additional requirements. Sense of enthusiasm. Desire to encourage. Okay. So we're writing a speech and we have to make sure that our speech demonstrates enthusiasm as well as encouragement. Let's take a look at that. Okay. So let's take a look at benefits, right? Benefits means the pros, the advantages, the good, the positive. Okay, so everything that's lovely about sport. Enthusiasm is a mood, and more specifically, it's a lot of excitement and positivity. Okay, so when you think of enthusiasm, these words should come into your mind. Okay, it's like those salespeople. You know, people who try to sell you stuff, they're usually They're enthusiastic. That's how you say it. Yes, they're enthusiastic because they're always like, "Hi, how are you? Have you ever thought of trying this?" And you know, I don't know. There's a lot of salespeople out there selling. Like, let's take for example a car salesman. They'll be like, "Hey, are you tired of walking every day? Look at this beautiful red car." You know, they speak with a lot of excitement. Okay. Now let's take a look at the notes that I made regarding the benefits of sport. Okay, because that's the focal point of the speech, is to make note of the benefits specifically. And our tone has to be enthusiastic and encouraging. Okay, so the advantages of sports, of course, you have the physical advantages, so health, lifespan. So you can say, have you been feeling tired in class? Sometimes you fall asleep while the teacher is speaking. Maybe you need to do a bit of exercise to get yourself more awake and your body to stay up. I don't know. Okay, so you have to convince them that it would help their physical. Second point is mental benefits. It is proven scientifically, and a lot of studies have proven this, is that exercise actually fights depression, and it also helps you gain confidence. Okay? Because if you're someone that has a lot of anxiety, you may notice that going on long walks helps you relax, or if you're someone who has a little bit of confidence issues, I know that sometimes when you do physical exercise, you're like, oh, I did 50 push-ups. If I could do 50 push-ups, I could do this other thing. You know, it helps you gain confidence. There are also academic benefits, which I think, so these 3 points here are targeting 3 different kind of students. So for physical benefits, it would be targeting students who are maybe large in size, who are maybe a little bit overweight, okay? And you can tell them you can breathe easier or something. You know, you come up with good ideas here. And mental benefits are targeting the students who are maybe deal with anxiety or are sad or depressed. And academic benefits, they target the people who are not, a lot of the people who are not here. So people who are not overweight and are also who don't have many mental struggles. So academic may be targeting all those really, in English we say keeners. So keeners, or people who love to do well academically. You can say, oh yeah, if you actually think of playing sports, you might get a scholarship to a university or college and you won't have to pay. And this also targets the people who have financial struggles. Okay, so you can get free university or college education if you're really good at a sport. Now let's talk about persuasive strategies. Persuasive strategies, we have repetition. So these are strategies that you can use in your speech to make sure that you follow the encouragement guideline as well as enthusiasm. You want to make sure you repeat. So if you repeat things like, you will not regret this. Come on, guys, join this sports team. I'm telling you, trust me, you will not regret this. You will not regret this. So throughout your speech, again, you will not regret this. Repeat yourself. The more you repeat yourself, the more it will go into people's brain. Target emotions. So you want to, the best way, I believe, and what a lot of companies, so think about a company that you love or a product that you love, and you ask yourself, why do you buy it? It's usually because there's some sort of emotional attachment that you have to it. Okay, for example, if you think about the popular brand Nike, you know, Nike, all their advertisement is about change, about pushing limits, and about power and empowerment, and make your dreams come true. So when you buy Nike shoes, you're not really buying the shoes themselves, you're buying the brand, because they get your emotions. You think, yeah, I'm going with Nike, I love what they're about, and I want to make my dreams happen too. And so you're really buying from an emotional perspective. So target emotions in your speech. Okay, so you won't be scared to wear anything that you want, is an example. For people who have physical struggles or confidence issues, if you work out, you won't be scared to wear those pants anymore or show your legs and wear shorts. So play on emotions. And then also you make the audience trust you. This is important, because if someone is listening to you and they don't take you seriously or they don't trust, they don't care. They probably don't care about what you're saying. So you have to make the audience trust you. Okay? So how do you make the audience trust you? You make them feel like you understand them and you relate to them. Okay? So an example is saying something like, I know how you feel, or it's hard, but I did it. You know, it's hard, but I did it. I started playing sports and it helped me. So you're making yourself relatable to them. and they feel like they can trust you because you know what they've gone through and now you're helping them. Okay, so you can do it too. So that's it for persuasive strategies. There's many persuasion strategies out there. You can feel free to Google them, or if you have any other tactics, leave a comment down below. Okay? So this was the little brainstorming session that I have going on for question 6, which is asking to write a speech to your school about the benefits of sports. And remember to include enthusiasm, desire to encourage. Oh, another thing that I forgot to mention was exclamation marks, right? So this shows excitement. It also shows enthusiasm. So don't be afraid to use those exclamation marks so that the marker, when they're reading your text, they're like, it plays in with the tone. It accentuates the tone. Okay? So there you have it, guys. We are done with the tips and tricks brainstorming session for A-level English language, paper 2, writing variant 2-1. Okay? Thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. Thank you for watching and thank you for subscribing. I see that a lot of you are subscribing. I'm really thankful for that. I'm definitely working on getting a lot more videos out there for you. Thanks for your patience, and don't forget to like, comment, let me know what you think. I read everything, I see it all, so just a huge thank you for you guys tuning in, and I will see you in the next video.